Hey guys, it's LOL underscore Rybun here, or Rybun as you may know me. And today, this is kind of a weird video because I will have gameplay going on in the background, but I do want to cover a topic that I kind of just want to talk about and see how you guys feel about my opinions in this regard, which is repetitive games and why I find that they're my favorite. I think my general draw to repetitive games kind of started probably back in 5th grade when I went on the adventure of playing MapleStory. I wouldn't say this is the most repetitive game because you've got different classes, different mobs, you're not constantly doing the same thing in the sense of nothing ever changes, but it's more so the repetitiveness of grind, 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 grind. MapleStory is a lot about grinding, either for EXP or fighting bosses for equipment, as most MMORPGs are. So, why is that the case that so many people fall in love with this genre, as well as the recent roguelike genre and roguelite and all these genres like MOBAs that are very, very repetitive in nature? Why do we as players enjoy them so much? I've been doing a little bit of thinking personally because I've been trying to find the base of what I enjoy so much about games. Lately, I've been doing lots of stuff in real life, like bowling and fishing and other things, and I've been really enjoying myself. Not to say I don't enjoy playing video games just as much, but it definitely is a really, really nice experience to get to do something different. When you look at the base level of the types of games that I, in particular, I don't know if you guys find yourself in the same camp, play, they're very similar in a very, very simple base level nature. And I'm kind of wondering why I'm drawn to these games. I personally I play like a story game every once in a while, and once I'm done with it, I'm done with it. But that seems like something in my brain where it's like, I wish I could get more out of this. I think that's a lot of what plays into repetitive games for me. So I kind of want to talk about my definition of a repetitive game. So this video is kind of somewhat formed. My videos are always a little bit crazy, but uh, as far as I would categorize it, repetitive games are anything that have some sort of content that is repeated. No, I don't mean like in a story game, you're going through story and, I don't know, a princess gets kidnapped twice or something. I'm talking about games that their main focus is something that you will experience repeatedly. In every single game, at a base level, you will be doing something either the same or very similar in a lot of cases. These are games such as Heroes of Hammerwatch, where you'll run the same map on different difficulties many, many times over. You're probably playing the same class, or maybe you're playing a different class, and that changes. But you'll be facing the same enemies, the same bosses, the same traps, and a lot of it is the same, but slightly different. Similarly, League of Legends, which is a MOBA that I love, is a game with a lot of repetition too. You're always going to be killing minions and making sure you do that. You always have to, watch the map, and you're going to be doing similar things in lane, trading, all this, right? But every single game is different because there's different champions. The likelihood of playing a game with the same exact champions, with you on the same exact champion, are very, very slim to none. However, even if that does happen, the players you're playing with will be different. As I mentioned previously, I'd throw MapleStory somewhere in this category. It's very, very grindy and repetitive in that sense. And I would, argue, it's a repetitive game. Binding of Isaac similarly falls in the same category because you're running through the same game with slight variations. all the time. Now, I'm not saying these are not different in any way, but they do have a lot of things in common in between every single run, or gameplay, or whatever. Now, what makes these games good? What draws us into them? What pulls us into buy these games or play these games and consume them over and over and over again, even though they're the same? Well, I think it's actually quite simple. A lot of these games have a really, really good base gameplay. Something that's very, very fun about them in terms of mechanics or something like that. But they have something that in the game itself always makes it different. There are games like Terraria that I would put in the category of repetitive games, but they don't have this mechanic. While Terraria World Gen and stuff like Minecraft in general creates an experience that is different each time. You'll be placed in a different world. You'll have different encounters within the world in the sense of the world is different. The base gameplay and the way you play it is almost certainly the same unless you enforce rules on yourselves. One of the ways that I personally make Terraria more enjoyable for myself is I always pick a different class per se when I play it, and so I'll force that upon myself and play only that class to keep things fresh by changing things up. If I didn't do this, I'd essentially be playing the same game repeatedly with little to no change. Now that doesn't sound too appetizing, does it? On the other end of the spectrum, like we were talking about previously, Heroes of Hammerwatch, for example, you're gonna be facing the same mobs, but the items that are the core of your build and how you play the run, they're gonna change every single time. You can't count on being able to max out your crit chance every single time. You may end up with tons of items that are really good for doing stuff with their passives, but nothing for your primary attack. But you were planning on going a primary attack build, well, you have to work around that. You have to figure out some way through it. You know? You have lots of control in games like Roguelites, such as Heroes of Hammerwatch. And realistically, the only things that are not in your control are items. However, the constant change of items does make the runs much more satisfying, especially when you get exactly what you want. Things like this are what I believe make these games so good. You find a game you like, right? And then you say, oh, I really like this game. Too bad it's going to get old really quick. These games' focus is not to have a gameplay that lasts a very, very long time in terms from start to finish, usually. What they'll do instead is they'll have something that, in the case of Heroes of Hammerwatch or Binding of Isaac, takes you a bit of time, somewhere in the realm of maybe an hour, and then you'll boot it up again to play it again. You say, oh man, I really love this game. You know, normally in the case that you're playing through a game that's this short again, if it doesn't have any changes, you'll get bored of it very fast. But the beauty of roguelikes and stuff is that in Binding of Isaac, there are so many items that you will almost never encounter the same exact run again. You can pick and choose items at your will when you encounter them that you like, if there's choices. But you will almost certainly always have a very different run every single time. And that's what keeps it fresh. If you find a repetitive game you like, it's not that all these games that I play, the repetitive games, I only play them and I only play repetitive games. It's that when you find a repetitive game you like, you can stick onto that for a very, very long time when it's something that has changes that happen naturally. League of Legends, for example, they're doing patches all the time. Champions are getting stronger and weaker, and the games themselves are different. Everything changes, and it keeps it fresh. That's the big thing about these games that I think a lot of other games are missing. And that's why I personally keep coming back to them, because they're always different. They're never something that feels like, oh man, you know, I'm doing the same thing again endlessly and it's just a waste of time. It's, you hop in a run or a game or whatever. It's, can I win this? Can I do this? You don't know. You don't know, because as many hours as you sink into these games, there's a chance that you're just not destined to win this one. And that's what keeps it so, so invigorating. I really think that the direction that these games take is the proper direction for games in the future. You'll see a lot of storytelling games nowadays. They implement a ton of choices that'll affect the actual story of the game themselves. I forget what this is called exactly. However, I think it's a very smart move. It takes a game that isn't so replayable, because once you know the story, you know the story. Well, do you know the story? These games with all these different choices, they have so much replay value that you can sink countless of hours in them. And because of this, it adds a lot more bang for your buck. Something I kind of wanted to cover in this video was, how much is a replayable game worth? Like, quite often I see people in the comments of my Here's a Hammerwatch videos say, okay, well, I got to the point that I've beaten every single map, or, okay, I got to the point that, I'm struggling a little bit. What's the point of continuing to go? And I think that people that ask this question have enjoyed the game to that point, but the repetition level between runs has gotten too close for them, and for that reason they get bored. And I don't think that's a bad reason to get bored. I can totally respect it. I myself, quite often with these games, hit points where I need a break from them for a while. But the cool thing is, I always find myself coming back, because the gameplay, when I come back, will yet again feel fresh for quite some time. And that is personally what I think is so, so amazing about these games. While you may quit for a little bit, they're always there to comfort you and be there for you when you need something to do. Games that you can play for thousands upon thousands of hours and never stop. And that is what makes a repetitive game repetitive. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I hope you all are having a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a little different than my usual videos, but I hope you enjoyed it all the same. Anywho, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. See you guys in the next video. Yet again, thank you so much for watching. If you want, you can go check out my second channel. It's a little bit inconsistent right now, but I do post stuff there that doesn't quite fit the budget, I guess, for this channel. So go over there and check that out if you want, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye, guys.